Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Well, Bangladesh's slow but unmistakable pivot towards Pakistan is no longer a matter of speculation. Since the ouster of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus assuming charge, Dhaka's foreign and security posture has undergone a recalibration that is raising serious red flags in New Delhi. What was once projected as a pragmatic reset is now beginning to look like a strategic realignment. The most visible symbol of this reset is the resumption of direct air connectivity between Bangladesh and Pakistan. Biman Bangladesh Airlines will restart non-stop flights between Dhaka and Karachi from the 29th of January, ending a gap of more than 10 years. Even more worrying for India is the emerging defense dimension. Bangladesh and Pakistan are reportedly in talks over the possible purchase of J-17 Thunder fighter jets. Air Force chiefs from both countries met in Islamabad, with discussions also covering trainer aircraft, fast-track delivery and long-term military cooperation. This prompts an important question. Is Bangladesh on the brink of becoming new East Pakistan? And that's exactly what we will discuss in the next half an hour. Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goel, former diplomat, with us on the broadcast. Major General G.G. Dwivedi, Global and Strategic Defense Expert, with us on the show. Group Captain Dr. M.J. Augustine Vinod, former Indian Air Force officer, is also with us on the show. And last but by no means the least, Mr. Sumit Peer, Senior Political Commentator, joins us on the broadcast as well. All right, Ambassador Goel, I'll begin with you. And sir, I'll also in fact would want to hear on what you feel is going on over here. Are we reading too much into this new Bangladeshi pivot or tangent, or do you think that India needs to worry? We already have one Pakistan on one side. We don't need another.
Good evening, and good to be with you after a very, very long time. And now coming to your question, and you said, do we need to worry? We do need to worry. The fact is that Bangladesh seems to be going back into the hands of two kinds of people. One is the jihadist elements, who obviously were actually, who are actually in league or who are working together with the elements in Pakistan in terms of their own politics, in their own internal politics. Clearly, these jihadist elements, the agenda is really to revert back to an Islamic form of government in Bangladesh after the fall of Sheikh Hasina. So we do need to worry about that part. You have an Islamic government back in Bangladesh which is allied with Pakistan. Number two, we do need to worry also about this government actually now aligned with both China and surprisingly originating from the USA. Clearly, Muhammad Yunus is a creature of the USA. He was installed there by the USA. He is following the USA agenda, and in that agenda, he is getting closer to Pakistan as a kind of for want of a better word, I don't want to use it, but it's a retaliation. It's a kind of a reaction to what India has been in Bangladesh for a long time. But what I would say here is that even if we need to worry about what is happening in Bangladesh, how do we react? That is very important. What I do think is that as we wait for the elections to take place in Bangladesh, and the elections will take place, whether Awami League is the party which can take part in the elections or not, the elections will take place, and in those elections, the party which is most favored is the BNP, led by Tariq Rahman, after Khalida Zia has gone. And BNP is a different kind of a fish from the jihadist element, and this BNP is also not so closely aligned to Pakistan or the other party. So we need to wait and see, because any kind of a premature reaction from India could actually boomerang. That is where I stop. It's worrisome, but we need to really be very careful in what we do.
General Diveni, uh, are you also worried? Or do you think this is posturing by Bangladesh? Well, Hindus are being slaughtered and massacred in Bangladesh at this point in time. And this is not a quarrel that India started. This is a quarrel that Bangladesh has started. But do you think that India should finish this quarrel?
Well, Vineet, I am definitely concerned, if not worried, about what's happening in Bangladesh. And Mark Twain had famously said that history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And having fought Bangladesh war in 1971, I think after 5.5 decades, we see Bangladesh almost where it was in 1971. Now, there are two, three factors which we need to take into consideration when we look at Bangladesh. Firstly, Pakistan has pulled some major gains in last in 2025. You know how they are cozied up with America, the field marshal having lunch with Putin, then having lunch with Trump, then America giving $650 million to upgrade the F-16. American interest in Pakistan, especially in the minerals. Now that is one part of it. Then how Pakistan has actually made Bangladesh pivot to itself is not as something which has happened overnight. I think Pakistan have worked on this for quite some time. And if you see what exactly happened in last 6 months, there have been multiple, exchanges of military delegations in this, especially last 6 months, and which includes ISA chief visiting, Pakistan Naval Chief Naveed visiting Bangladesh, Pakistan Naval Ship Saif, port call at Chittagong. Now the J-17 deal, which is almost there. Pakistan also has taken 2 billion loan from Saudi Arabia to sell JF-17, and also the defense cooperation between or defense agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. All this means that Pakistan has made deep inroads also in Middle East and as well as in Bangladesh, which is of greater concern. Now, Vineet, in this, China is playing a very, very, astute diplomacy by they have done a lot of work on bringing Pakistan and Bangladesh together, and they are playing this trilateral with China's inroad into Myanmar. This is going to become a quad. Now, where does India stand? I think firstly, we have been sort of overtaken, or we are not taken enough foresight, interest in this whole thing. We are sure that Bangladesh is, well aligned with us, and it's taken for granted. But what was working beneath, I think possibly we have not got it right. Now, where do we go from here? See, our concerns are not so much about Bangladesh, but what is Pakistan's intent in developing these ties? As you rightly said, it could become possibly East Pakistan, because in this coming elections, these Jamaatis and the radical elements are definitely going to call the shots. So internally, Bangladesh is going to be more radical, more hostile to India. And the second point is, as Pakistan is closing up to Bangladesh with overarching shadow of China, I think we need to recalibrate our complete defense and diplomatic policy, because situation today is deeply concerning, and it could become worrisome if we don't take right actions at this time and develop, or at least push back and ensure that we gain lost strategic ground in Bangladesh. That will require some very hard diplomacy and defense together, because they cannot work in isolation. They have to work together. And lastly, we have some leverages, economic leverages. Bangladesh is highly dependent upon us economically. We'll have to play those cards as well. And at the end of it, Vineet, all I can say is that we need to take this situation hands-on, and this requires a astute diplomacy, very good defense initiative, and last but not least, the economic leverages. Otherwise, I think Bangladesh is going to slip deeper into Chinese and Pakistani pocket. Vineet.
So, with Peer, a direct question to you. Why can't we go in? Why can't we do to Bangladesh what the Americans have done in Venezuela? What's stopping us?
Vinny, thank you very much for having me on your show. Because if I can be very candid and direct, we are a country which is obsessed with diplomacy. Sorry, being brutally honest. We have started thinking military is not an option. We have started thinking कि जब सांप का बच्चा बड़ा होगा वो नेवला बन जाएगा. But we forgot one thing. The biology says सांप के बच्चे और बड़े सांप में equal जहर होता है. And we have not been able to secure our interests in 1971 and thereafter. We have been trusting and we have been believing and we have this perception that we have very good relations with Sheikh Hasina and she'll be there till perpetuity and Bangladesh will be under control. And today, if you look at what Sheikh Hasina has said in an interview, she said they were always radicals there, I was controlling them. Now radicalization, Hindu hunting, I'm using the word hunting, has become the name of the game. And because the society is like that, all the jihadis which I had put in jail, Yunus let them go. And all the country and all the nefarious elements of the jihadis have been mainframed. This Islamization has been mainframed. Hindu hunting down and killing Hindus, genocide of Hindus has become is like nothing. It's like a rasgulla after a good meal. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. They say, oh, it's all media creation. There's nothing like that in there. Now imagine there was a girl who was gang raped and then she was tied to a tree. Her hair were cut. Then a Hindu girl, then a video was made and it was made viral on the social media. Sheikh Hasina is acknowledging under Yunus all this radicalization, all this Islamization and all this terrorism has become a mainframe. It is mainframe part of the society now and there are people who are getting glorified by more and more such acts they do. That is what they are saying. The problem is that, we have the third biggest military in the world, third powerful military in the world. And if we have to still think, can we use it against Bangladesh or not, there is a problem. We have tried diplomacy all these years and it will not work. Sheikh Hasina is not going back. Look at the track record of Tariq Rahman. Look at the track record of BNP. Look at Jamatis. Even that NCP, the student gang that has done a tie-up with the Jamatis. So these are the people who are calling it, and we need to look at another aspect. Now they are talking of if you look at a bigger context, there are already talks of a Muslim NATO. That was the last meeting when all the Muslim countries got together. Why should we not have a Muslim NATO? And it is official. I'm not casting aspersions. Then you have another aspect in where Pakistanis and go and do a military alliance with Saudis, which includes nuclear umbrella and which includes sharing the nuclear know-how. As per Ishaq Dar and as per Khwaja Asif, the defense minister and the deputy prime minister of Pakistan, I'm quoting them. Then we have another setup. Now they are talking of a military alliance with Bangladesh, wherein GF-17s are only the central piece. It starts around GF-17s, right? Then it will go to other aspects. So whatever we gained ground in 1971, that ground has been slowly slipping out from us. We lost over 4,500 men. Around 9,000 men were injured, and a couple of them were permanently disabled, fighting for Bangladesh and fighting for the liberation of Bangladesh. And people like General Dwivedi who fought there. Now, he could have not imagined in 1971, he will be after 50 years, 40 years on a TV channel and try to say that how Hindus, General Dwivedi being a Hindu, fought there, and now how his Hindu or my Hindu brethren are being slaughtered there in the broad daylight. This has become the name of the game.
But Sumit, the question also arises that if we can free the Bangladeshis from the Pakistanis, why can't we free the Hindus from the Bangladeshis now?
Exactly, that is the point I am making, sir. When Indian army can go in there and liberate Bangladesh because the Muslims were there was a genocide or there were atrocities against the Muslims. But where is this rule or logic that when an Indian army cannot go and save the Hindus of Bangladesh? You have to make a Hindu Desh, you have to secure all the frontiers once for good, your Chittagong, your Siliguri corridor and all has to be secured once for good. Hindus have to be taken there. They have to be given Hindu, when I mean by Hindu, Jain, Buddh, Sikh, Parsi all together, and even the Christian brothers who want to come there. Give them that patronage and have that country developed as a separate country, like a Bhutan or wherever, where the Hindus feel secure.
And Sumit, this is the exact reason why the CAA is in place, right? To protect the Hindu brothers across the border.
Vineet bhai, only 515 people got citizenship by that, and you have around 1.75 crores in Bangladesh, you have 55 lakhs in Pakistan minimum, and you have some in Afghanistan. So you have to settle around 3 crore people. At this pace and time, how many decades or how many centuries do you need to settle them? Well, but let's be practical. And do you think jihadis are going to wait for
Well, you
our...
have the Rohingyas coming in, Sumit. The Rohingyas are still coming in.
Of course, they are coming in. Muslims are coming in from Bangladesh. I mean, how many have been thrown out? We are talking, we have 1.75 crore Bangladeshis and Rohingyas here. How many have we really thrown out? Because, and you have good 780 kilometers, if I'm not wrong, of the border, which is still not fenced. The problem here is that, the people like Bangladesh have even started thinking India will not use a military option, and see what is happening here. When you have this happening here, Vinny, there's a video out today where the Hamas, what is his name? Zahir, some called Dr. Zahir, is meeting in Punjab the Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. The video's out. He was the same person who met them in POJK after that Pahalgam happened. The same person has been traveling all across Pakistan. You're talking of a military alliance with Bangladesh. There's already a military alliance happening with Saudis, and there is Turkey, which is already there. So there are a lot of things which are slowly getting out of control. And if you dissect what Sheikh Hasina says, he says, beyond a time, you may not be able to control anything, because if that becomes mainstream, how many people will you apprehend and how many people will you control? These are some of the things which we really need to be considerate about, because if Hindus are slaughtered in Bangladesh, somebody has to take responsibility of that. I mean, how could Israel take out each and every Jew from Ethiopia? Each and every Jew in the batches of 100, 150. How many years it took them to take? They took, because that is what the rule was. So if our brothers in Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan are getting slaughtered, and there's one more genocide of Hindus which happens, then somebody down the line has to take the responsibility. And history doesn't forgive anybody. History is very merciless. It will write exactly what happened and here happened and who did it what.
Okay,
So
okay, fair enough. Let me also rope in Group Captain MJ Augustine into this conversation. Group Captain Augustine, are you really, okay with the response that India has had to these killings in Bangladesh? Are you okay with the way the government has, directed its energies towards this shift in, policies that Bangladesh has had for India and have, recently evolved and changed under the new regime? Are you okay with the fact that, we've been talking about a two-front war, and now that's perhaps going to be a three-front war if Bangladesh is going to get in bed with Pakistan? Are you okay with the fact that nobody in Pakistan anticipated it, but they would be very, very happy to know that they have an ally in Bangladesh now to bleed India with 1,000 more cuts?
Vineet, very, very pertinent question. And I mean, I plain speak and plain speak logic. Let's look at it, with a little more logic. Why was two nations created? In this case, the three nation. Originally two nation was East and West Pakistan. Now it is three nation created. Why? It was created on the lines of religion, where they said, okay, the Muslims will have their own piece of land, both in east and west of India, and the Muslims will move there and live happily ever after. That did not happen. Why didn't that happen? Is the question. The question is, the answer to this question is very, very simple. The aspect called secularism does not exist in both these nations. In fact, in most Muslim-dominated nations, the aspect of secularism does not exist because the book does not permit something called secularism. Then, how do we address this problem? So I take from a leaf from what Mr. Sumit said. If the aspect of secularism does not exist in these two regions, you need to create a region where the majority, the Hindus, feel safe. You can't have your cake and eat it too, can you? So you can't have in one piece of the pie, secularism exists, and the other place, secularism does not exist because the book does not permit. That is point number one. Will a Hindu desh or a place where Sanatanis can, live peacefully without the fear of persecution, can it exist is a very big question mark. Will it exist in Pakistan or Bangladesh? They have demonstrated over couple of 4 or 5 decades that it cannot exist. They have been systematically culling anyone and everyone who do not follow that particular book. They themselves, most of them, converted under the fear of sword or enticement. Maybe enticement, I would put it maybe 10 or 15%. Most of them have converted under the fear of sword. So there needs to exist. I'm looking at it logically, okay? I'm not saying Hindu, Muslim. I'm saying, a sect A does not allow sect B to coexist, whereas sect B is allowing sect A to coexist. But when the sect A becomes a sizable number, they will not allow sect B to coexist. It is absolutely as simple logic as that. Now let's come to the brass tacks, the very important question that you asked. See, Vineet, it is Sheikh Hasina's time. We had wonderful relation, Teen Biga Zameen and energy exchange and cultural exchange, buses going from here to Tripura and coming back. All that was happening. But the moment there was a change in brains, things went back to what the book talks about. That is, anyone who does not follow the book are liable to be punished and legal to be punished, and they can be punished and nobody can ask any question. Therefore, it is very, very important, Vineet, to have a people first approach, not a government first approach. So that will, the solution to this problem is completely and entirely in the minds of the people. People who have been brainwashed to cull the other sect need to be re-brainwashed not to cull the other sect. That
Okay.
can happen, and it does happen. I mean, in the Middle East, nobody is culling you, isn't it? People are living very peacefully in Dubai or wherever. You can't become a citizen even if you give your 3, 4, 5, 10 decades of life. You have to, when you are liable or, to be looked after, you have to come back to your original country. That said, it's very peaceful over there. So how has peace prevailed there? Because people have been educated. So the people to people and not government first approach needs to be taken. Secondly, very, very important, Vineet, water needs to be treated as some kind of a leverage, and food needs to be treated as some kind of a leverage. Energy needs to be treated as some kind of leverage. We cannot give it, free
Okay.
for all. You
All right.
saw, you
All right.
saw what
I
Trump
understand
did.
your point. I want to, in fact, get a reaction from Ambassador Goel. He's been listening patiently, and I've been observing his expressions also when the other panelists were speaking. Sir, what's on your mind?
Vinny, thank you very much. And I'm rather surprised that you are watching my expressions so carefully. And I'm obviously very transparent in these matters. Vinny, I'm so thankful to Samir and to Dr. Vinod. Clearly, I'm living in very old times, really, when I believe in that a country can be multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-religious. Obviously, I'm very, very old now and I don't belong here anymore. Obviously, we need to really have an India which is a purely Hindu Rashtra and an army which is purely Hindu. And therefore, the Hindu army will go into Bangladesh and rescue Hindus from the Islamic jihadists who are killing Hindus without really caring, without really even thinking that Indian army is not Hindu. Indian army is multi-religious. There are Muslims in the Indian army. Please do remember that Abdul Habib, who died and look at PVC in the 65 war, was a Muslim. We have never looked at Indian army as a Muslim or the Hindu army. And they went to 1971. So 1971, it was basically to defeat the two-nation theory created by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who said that nations can be created on the basis of religion. And now, if we are saying that the Indian Hindu army must go into Bangladesh to rescue the Hindus, sounds great. We basically then begin to question our own existence. Number two, I would really say yes, by all means. We should become a Hindu Rashtra and throw out the 22 billion Muslims who are living here and another 4 or 5 billion Christians who are living here. Jains and Buddha, of course, they are the sects of Hinduism and therefore they are acceptable. But though Buddhists and Jains will also question our saying that they are actually part of the Hindu sect. But by all means, throw the Christians out, throw the Muslims out, and they will actually then demand land to live somewhere like the Israelis. When the Israelis came into Middle East and a nation was created for the Jews, and you created Zionism, you created the Palestinian conflict over there in the region, and they're still suffering, and they're still suffering.
But that's not what we're saying, so are we? We are not saying that we throw out the Muslims and the Christians. What we are saying is we save the Hindus. What you refer to Israel, Israel has, equal amount of Palestinians in their own country as well. Sumit Peer wants to come in now. Sumit, quickly, we have a paucity of time.
Meet, first of all, I never said Indian army is a Hindu army. I said Indian army is an Indian army. Indian army went there in 1971. Who was being persecuted? Muslims. So we went in. It was the right cause. Now, Hindus are being persecuted. What is the logic today? The Indian army cannot go in if Hindus are being persecuted in the same land. Was it written somewhere that the Bangladesh only belongs to Muslims? Was it written somewhere that a Hindu will be persecuted, you will gang rape them, you will slaughter them, and India will not open their mouth? And let me tell you another thing, Vineet, when the voting of Pakistan happened, 95% of the Muslims said we want to go to vote to Pakistan. They took that proportional land, only 33% happened. Let me quote you Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, the most elite or the most learned person of one of the persons of India who I have greatest of respect for. He said the problem of this will be never over till the time 100% population transfer happens. Did Babasaheb Ambedkar say that, or he did not say that? He said that. And what is happening today? When we are talking to Bangladesh, our Hindu brothers are getting killed, they are getting persecuted, they have been hunted down. They say it's a media making. Ye media ki paida, there's nothing like that which is happening. Oh, there's nothing like which is happening. The challenge here is that every day when you see such occurrences happening again and again, I'm only saying that. I'm not trying to make Hindu and Muslim here. I am saying, is there a rule in the constitution? Is there somewhere written in Bharati Samvidhan, if Hindus are being persecuted anywhere in the world, that Indian army cannot go? Is there something like that?
Okay.
No.
All right, Sumit, I understand you're emotional about this, and of course, this is a raging debate. What should India do in these dire circumstances which have befallen our Hindu brethren across the border in Bangladesh? We've run out of time, Janal Dwivedi. I really apologize. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We have some breaking news coming in. Well, in a major